There are people you haven't seen in a long time. No calls, no messages, nothing at all. But they still live in your mind. You can wake up and fall asleep with their image in your thoughts. You tell yourself, that's it, enough. But the moment everything goes quiet, they're right there again. Why? Why can't we forget that one person? I spent weeks studying the work of neuroscientists, and what I learned changed my perspective. Helen Fisher, an anthropologist and neuroscientist, she studied what happens in the brain of people suffering from a broken heart. She conducted MRI scans of such individuals, and the results shocked even her. The areas of the brain that were activated were the same as those in drug addicts during withdrawal. Specifically, the ventral tegmental area and the caudate nucleus. This means that love is not just an emotion, it's a biochemical addiction. We're not suffering from love, we're suffering from dopamine withdrawal. When you remember the person you can't forget, your brain is literally demanding a hit of the sensations associated with them. It's not weakness, it's neurochemistry. You didn't lose a person, you lost a source of dopamine. But the most important thing is that you can learn to generate joy from within. Because strength isn't in the memory, strength is in awareness. Joe Dispenza, neuroscientist and neuroplasticity researcher, he states, neurons that fire together wire together. What does that mean? Every time you think of that person, you reinforce the neural pathway to them. You build a superhighway of thoughts, feelings, and bodily responses. The brain thinks if you keep replaying this, it must be important, so it strengthens access. But here's the good news. The brain is flexible. It can be rewired. If you focus your attention on new emotions, new images, new goals, other neural networks will begin to take over. You don't have to wait for the brain to forget on its own. You can take the wheel. Don't chase the memories away. Just stop feeding them your attention. Antonio Damasio, professor of neuroscience and author of Descartes' Error, conducted hundreds of experiments and came to a striking conclusion. Our memories are not just facts. They are emotions inscribed in the body. When you remember someone you love, you're not just recalling their face. You feel the same physical sensations that you experienced when they were near. Goosebumps, warmth, calm, or on the contrary, anxiety. Memory isn't a movie, it's a living response of the nervous system. That's why forgetting doesn't mean erasing. To forget means to relive it differently. You don't have to erase the past, but you can change its emotional imprint. You can turn pain into a lesson, loss into strength, and a memory into fuel for a new life. Eric Kandel, Nobel Prize winner, proved that emotionally charged memories form stronger connections between neurons. What's tied to intense emotions quite literally gets etched into the brain. You might forget where you parked your car, but you won't forget betrayal, your first love, or the words, "I don't love you anymore." Because those memories aren't just information, they are biologically reinforced. Emotions are like glue. The stronger the feeling, the stronger the memory. We don't remember because we want to. We remember because the brain deems it essential for survival. But if the brain learns through feelings, it can also forget through new vivid experiences, create memories that outshine the old ones, live more boldly than ever before. Jaak Panksepp, the father of effective neuroscience, studied the brain's emotional systems and proved that social pain, separation, loss, activates the same brain regions as physical pain. A broken heart is not just a metaphor, it is literally pain in the brain. Our bodies truly suffer when we lose connection with someone we love. The brain doesn't distinguish between a punch and abandonment by a loved one. It interprets both as the same signal, a threat to survival. If you're feeling pain, it's not a weakness. It's a sign of how deeply alive you are. And that means you're capable of healing. Everything that feels like a wound eventually turns into skin. stronger than before. Matthew Lieberman showed that social connection is a fundamental human need, just as vital as food and water. The brain is wired for closeness. When a bond with a loved one breaks, the brain perceives it as a disruption of basic safety, and it will do everything it can to restore or hold on to that connection, even if it already belongs to the past. Our drive toward people is biologically programmed. We can't simply move on and forget, because love isn't just in the heart, it's in the brain. Vilayanur Ramachandran, a neuroscientist known for his research on phantom pain, he studied people who continued to feel pain in limbs that had been amputated. This phenomenon was called phantom pain. It turns out our brain can retain images even after they've disappeared from reality. The brain doesn't function purely on facts. It lives according to its own maps, its own sensations. And now imagine, if the brain can continue to feel a hand that no longer exists, what do you think it does with a person who once meant the world to you? Yes, you're no longer together. But in your mind, the phantom remains, the habit of sensing that person close. They're embedded in your routines, in a voice, in a touch, in good morning and good night. And the brain struggles to accept that this person is no longer part of your life. It keeps triggering those sensations out of sheer inertia. If you can't stop thinking about one person, it means only one thing. You're still directing your attention there. Each time you replay a memory, you reinforce it. And here's what struck me. The brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. It relives the moment all over again, which means you can just as vividly start living not the past, but the present. The question isn't, how do I forget? It's, where do I want to look next? Your story with that person is over, but your story with yourself is just beginning. Want to truly let go? Don't wait for your brain to forget. Show it that you've already started down a new path.